Prague, from protest to freedom. A city rich in history. In this moment, we are not just witnessing history, but becoming part of a timeless tale. As our tour begins, we're taken back to World War II, when Palach Adria was the office for high-ranking German military officers during the occupation of Czechoslovakia. A darker history lies hidden in this strategic location and impressive architecture. A history of political intrigue, oppression, and the ever-present threat of war. The communist era, a period marked by political repression and social control, left a lasting mark on the city and its people. After World War II, the Iron Curtain descended, dividing Europe physically and ideologically into the democratic West and communist East. Czechoslovakia came under Soviet control, ushering in communist rule that deeply shaped its politics, culture, and identity. The Communist Party controlled every part of life, spreading propaganda and ensuring only pro-communist messages were heard. Freedom of speech was suppressed, the press was heavily censored, and any form of dissenting opinion was quickly silenced, creating an environment where free thought was dangerous. Opposition faced swift, brutal consequences. Protesters were arrested and violent crackdowns were common, spreading fear among those opposing the regime. Stories of political persecution and human rights abuses were common, with trials often preordained by the state. Individuals suspected of disloyalty to the regime were imprisoned, tortured, or disappeared. The fear of being targeted was a constant presence in everyday life. The secret police, STB, spread fear and paranoia. Their surveillance was everywhere, making everyone feel unsafe. Neighbors were urged to inform on each other, fostering suspicion and mistrust, which fractured the social fabric and made unity against the regime nearly impossible. For decades, the people of Czechoslovakia endured the oppressive rule of the communist regime, but the desire for freedom burned brightly in their hearts. In 1989, that desire erupted onto the streets of Prague in what became known as the Velvet Revolution. The Velvet Revolution was a remarkable moment in history, a non-violent revolution that ended the communist rule and led to democracy. Students, artists, and intellectuals flooded Wenceslas Square, demanding freedom and an end to censorship, making it the heart of anti-communist demonstrations. The Czech people, through their courage and determination, reclaimed their country. Into the depths, a nuclear bunker. Under the busy streets of modern Prague is a spooky reminder of the Cold War. A network of underground bunkers, meticulously constructed to protect the city from the devastating impact of a nuclear attack, remains hidden from the casual observer. These secretive bunkers reveal a time when the world was on the edge of disaster. They stand quietly, holding memories of a tense and uncertain era. Going down into one of these bunkers is a bizarre experience. The heavy metal door creaks open, showing a world stuck in time. The air is thick with the smell of concrete and dampness. The walls, cold and unyielding, are covered in condensation, a testament to the passage of time. The silence is overpowering, broken only by our footsteps, amplifying the sense of isolation. The bunker is a labyrinth of rooms, each designed for a specific purpose. Navigating through this maze, one can only imagine the lives that were meant to be lived here in the event of a catastrophe. Disinfection rooms or cleaning rooms, bunk beds where civilians would have sought refuge, a command center with outdated communication equipment, once the nerve center for coordinating efforts during an attack. The Cold War. A time of paranoia. The Cold War was a time of intense tension between the United States and the Soviet Union, lasting from the end of World War II to the early 1990s, filled with constant alert and suspicion. Both superpowers had huge nuclear arsenals, and the threat of nuclear war was a daily worry. The fear of mutual destruction influenced politics and public sentiment. Nuclear bunkers were built out of real fear during the Cold War. Governments spent heavily on them, hoping to offer citizens some sense of security. These bunkers were seen as a last line of defense, a place where a select few might survive a nuclear attack and rebuild society. They were equipped with the essentials needed to sustain life in the event of a catastrophe. They were stocked with food, water, and medical supplies, designed to sustain life for an extended period. The meticulous planning and stocking of these bunkers reflected the era's pervasive anxiety. The reality was far from comforting. Despite the preparations, living in tight spaces for an unknown time was frightening. The mental strain of this life was a heavy burden for many. One haunting question arises: how long could people survive in a bunker? The answer is unsettling. Depending on resources, people could survive for a few weeks. The Cold War was a tough time, especially for those in bunkers. Food was scarce, often just unhealthy, canned goods. Lacking proper nutrition, the lack of sunlight took a heavy toll on mental and physical health. To save energy, electricity was often cut off, leaving people in darkness for days or weeks. This darkness wasn't just physical. It seeped into the minds of those trapped within these cold, sterile walls. People were separated, enduring long periods of isolation, which often led to madness. The despair and claustrophobia built up inside these cramped spaces. Unable to see another human face or feel the warmth of the sun, many lost their sanity, shouting and screaming into the void of the bunker. In the worst cases, some couldn't bear the crushing isolation and hopelessness and lost their lives. The air in the bunker, cold and heavy, mirrored the atmosphere of fear and despair that consumed those who were forced to live here. While these bunkers were meant to protect, they often became a psychological battlefield, with people fighting not just to survive, but to maintain their humanity. As we walk through the cold, damp corridors of the bunker, a deep silence surrounds us. This silence is heavy with the pain of those who suffered and died here. Each step feels weighted by history, as if we are walking on the souls of the restless who once sought refuge in these haunting walls. You can almost hear their whispers, soft, sorrowful, and full of longing, floating through the chilling air like shadows that refuse to fade. One can only imagine how, under the cover of night, this place transforms into a spectral theater, where the cold and sad whispers of ghosts intertwine with the darkness, reminding us of lives lost to fear and hopelessness. This is not merely a tour, it is a haunting reminder of the fragility of freedom and the enduring spirit of those who dared to dream of a better tomorrow amidst the shadows of their past. Even in the darkest times, the human spirit has an incredible capacity for hope, creativity, and connection. These stories remind us that no matter how desperate the situation, the will to survive and the strength of community can triumph. As we move forward, let us remember the lessons of the past. Reflecting on this history, we find inspiration in those who endured and thrived despite great adversity. This was our unforgettable journey into Prague's past, filled with spooky tales and whispers in the shadows. A heartfelt thanks to our knowledgeable tour guide for this captivating experience. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give us a like and hit that subscribe button for more updates and great content. Keep watching, and we'll see you on the next journey.